wonder who this is from. Oh, that's a fact. Who is this from? Y'all know how your girl feels about a little chocolate strawberry. Aww, so sweet. It's my birthday week, guys. Turning 29. I feel special. Keep watching. All right. If you're still watching, yes. By the time you see this video, I will have just had my birthday yesterday. So I'm going to speak a future tense. I have just turned 29, which, interesting. I did a poll on Instagram asking for like questions and stuff for me to answer in the video, just do something different, change it up a little bit. So I got some questions, and I'm also adding in a couple questions that I would ask someone else. We'll see how this goes. I like barely looked through the questions. I think I looked just to see, like I think I got a glance, but I haven't really thought about it. So it's gonna be at the top of the dome because I haven't really planned for this. Aw, this week it's just been this season has just been so wild, but this is gonna be fun. So, also make sure you subscribe. You already know how the game goes. Subscribe, share the video with a friend, all of those things. Ask me a question in the comments. If I get enough questions, maybe I'll do another one. So yeah, let's get started. You like my slippers? They're from Target. I got influenced and bought them. Hi! I've been binging Disney movies to like give me joy. And I was watching Zootopia yesterday, and The Little Mouse. If you haven't seen Zootopia, you need to watch it, first of all. But The Little Mouse, with the accent, it was like Italian mom. I'm still laughing about that. She was like, hi, I'm gonna name her Judy. Why am I amused? Why am I like this? All right, let's get into a couple questions. All right. If you could spend your birthday with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be? Probably my best friend who died last year. Yeah, it feels kind of morbid, but like, seriously, I miss her every day. So, great question. When is your birthday? Yesterday. I was born 12:06 a.m. or something on Tuesday, December 17th, 1991. My mom tells me all the time. That's how I remember. Ambivert or extrovert or introvert? If you've been watching this channel for longer than 30 seconds, you know I'm not an introvert girl. I am. I'd like to consider myself an ambivert, even though my best friend doesn't believe me, but whatever. Yeah, I'm like an ambivert with like multiple drops of extrovert. My camera just overheated and I just bought food. So I'm gonna go pick it up while my camera cools down. I'm coming back. Yes. Have a great day. Thank you. What is the worst and best thing about this year? Honestly, I would say the worst, I'm still thinking about, but the best thing about this year was just, I feel like being realigned with like my purpose and God's plan for me and what he has for me. There's so many things. Goodness gracious. Being aligned with what he has planned for me. So this year I started off super distracted, super different. Like I had my goals for this year, but honestly it was like, I mean, I'm gonna write them down, but like we'll see. And so it helped me really to realign. And so I've even knocked out like, I want to say 78% of my vision board, which is kind of wild to me because considering everything that happened that wasn't planned, so still for everything is still falling in line. I think the worst part of this year, aside from the obvious, I lost my grandfather this year. So that was very tough. It was unexpected. Honestly, that was super unexpected. In my mind, I was like, oh no, he got years. So that was hard, but I would say that probably was the worst part of this year because God has just been so faithful. There's so many good things, even the things like with the fibroids and everything. Like the fibroids technically, like the discovery of the fibroids was technically an answered prayer because I was asking God, like, I'm still single, I'm 29 now, and you know, if there's anything wrong with like any reproductive anything, my husband, for me, I wanted to get that worked through and taken care of before I get married. So it was definitely an answered prayer, even though it's been so hard being on the medicine and stuff, but I wouldn't call it the worst because again, it's an answered prayer, right? So yeah, I mean, I would say worst is my grandfather passing this year. Best is just realigning and so many things that God did that I was not prepared for and I didn't know I needed, let alone wanted. Yeah. Yeah. What is your best birthday memory? I would say my 21st birthday, I think, is my best birthday memory thus far. My mom and my stepdad at the time threw me this like surprise birthday party, and I don't think, well, I had never had one that big before. I mean, like, it was a secret. Mom had been working, like, messaging people on Facebook. They got a cake made for me. Like, at the time we lived in a like gated community or whatever that had a clubhouse, and they reserved the clubhouse. Like, they had like so many family and friends that had no idea, like, show up, and then had me get dressed, and we were just like, oh, we're just gonna go to dinner. I was like, okay, cool. And then and then they blindfolded me, so in my mind I'm like, okay, and like drove around, but like we lived super close to the clubhouse, so they drove around a little bit, and like I was completely thrown off, and I'm not a blindfold person because I don't like not knowing what's happening and what's going on. And I remember taking off my blindfold and was shook. I was like, oh my gosh, like it was so crazy. And they got me. My mom, who usually I can get information out of her, didn't spill the beans at all. Like, it was really, really dope. Yeah, that was a good birthday. I'm so annoying. If you could marry one movie star, who would it be? I'm gonna take the shallow approach and say Michael B. Jordan. You know. If I took the educated approach, it'd be Jesse Williams. If I took the Jesus approach, good question. IDK, my BFF Jill. My hair. What's been your favorite trip ever? don't know. Well, I think it might be tied. I have a lot of fun trips. I think it might be tied. I think the first trip is my family and I, we went on a cruise last year, and we like flew down to Florida on Sunday morning, stayed, I think the boat took off on Monday. So we flew to Florida, stayed in this Airbnb, so pretty. And then Monday we left, went through Freeport, Bahamas, Nassau, Bahamas. I feel like we went somewhere else too. I don't remember, but it was so fun. It was my first cruise, and it was like a cruise with like the fam. So fun, especially like getting all the family together. My niece cousin had just been born, so she was like 10 months old. Yeah, it was my mom, my aunt, my cousin, her husband, their daughter, my cousin, her mom and husband, my other cousin, her sister. I think I said my aunt already, and then cousins and stuff. It was so fun. I love family trips. Like, I really want to do like a family vacation trip to like a cabin somewhere whenever things open up. Yeah, I think that's probably number one. It's tied though with a work trip that I took to Cancun actually this year. It was in March. Went to Cancun. They paid for us to go. So fun. I had never been to Mexico before. We stayed on this beautiful resort. It was just super fun to just chill for a few days, and then it was just long enough for me. Like, we didn't do any excursions. I didn't do any excursions just because we were there for like 3 days. It was just long enough for me, and so fun though. When I tell you we got back like right before shutdown, we got back like 3 days before shutdown. Totally worth the risk. Ignore the mess couch. What do you do for self-care? I light a candle. I make myself some tea. I love tea. I'll sometimes I'll turn on instrumental music if I'm like super overwhelmed. I will go for a drive. Love going for a drive. I will clean up. I can't stand a messy house. Again, just, it's fine. I'm like a tidy person. I have a bad habit of like putting things in like little clusters, but in reality I'm like, no, just put it away, sis. So tidying things up, cleaning things up, doing the dishes, self-care. Sometimes I'll have like dance parties where I'll just like dance around and have like my music playing or something, or to like a soundtrack that I'm in love with. I was in show choir in high school, so like it's nothing for me to dance around and do some like random choreography or something. Go pick up a dessert to eat, and then spend time with family and friends and chat through my like challenges and stuff. Like, I really am self-aware, so like if I'm having like some type of like a mental whatever, I'll try to process like what is happening or what's going on. I think that about covers it. What is the most embarrassing thing you've ever done? What? I'm always doing embarrassing things. So, this would be a tough one. Tied for first are two stories. So the first story is when I was in 4th grade. I know, 4th grade. I was in a spelling bee, and I would like to consider myself really smart. I'd like to think I'm really smart. And I was given a word. I had a crush on a guy. So I was in private school, so we wore uniforms, whatever. It's like white guy. Like the biggest crush on him ever. I'll never forget his name, but it's fine. His name was Cody. And we had a word, and I was nervous, so I was overthinking, and the speller was like, okay, spell spoke. Spoke. Y'all have heard this story before. Well, some of you have. Me. S-K. And like, I looked at the thing like, crap, I know I spelled that wrong. I spelled that wrong. Shoot. I was in 4th grade, and the instructor was like, sis, you can't start over, there are no doers here. And I said, okay, and like totally ran off the stage before I like, cause I already knew what it was. So that's first. The second most embarrassing thing I think I've ever done, but it's funny. If you listen to my podcast, you heard this story on a recent episode, but I lead worship. I am one of the worship leaders at our church, and this Sunday in particular, we were having baby dedication, and then my worship pastor was not leading that day, so he was there but he wasn't leading. And so we had baby dedication at the beginning of service, so like we have our normal flow of service, and I was leading. So like we have two services, and the first service was normal. The second service, there's baby dedication, which was like 40 minutes before like the worship set starts and all of that. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, wait. And so I have this like bad habit of overthinking. And in my mind, I'm like, shoot, I need to figure out, like, are we doing the intro video to worship, before worship, or are we not? And I'll never forget standing, oh my gosh, I'll never forget standing backstage. I'm getting the team ready. I'm like, okay guys, get ready to go. We're getting ready to go. This is gonna be it, whatever. And there was a video, and in my mind I'm like, is there a video or not? And I, for whatever reason, I had asked, but like I didn't get the clarity. But I think it was me. Like I don't think I was asking the right questions. It doesn't matter. So I like had everybody go out. So my pastor goes, all right, let's get ready for worship. And what he meant was, which is the correct move, was we're gonna start the video and then we're gonna do worship, right? When I tell you, he said, let's get ready for worship, and I ran out on stage, the video came on, and this isn't like, there were like, I wouldn't say there's probably 800 people in the auditorium at this point, like 800 people in service, not to mention online. I walked out on stage, good morning, and the video started. I look in horror at the screen's still going. The singers walk out behind me. I keep walking, and then I end up walking behind the LED screen because I'm like, Jasmine, you gotta get yourself together. So I have like a staff meeting, a moment like, bro, sis, you gotta get yourself together. Like this is not, this can't end like this. It can't stop here, it can't end here. But I was like, what just happened? But I was like, what just happened? And it was like not hilarious at the time, but then the service ended up being really good, and then like I laughed about it. And thankfully my worship pastor, like he's one of my really good friends, he was like, you good? And I was like, yep. And I was like, and normally like he'll bring something up if it's like serious enough to talk about. And so he didn't bring it up. So I'm like, oh, you must have missed when I came out on stage. He was like, nah sis, I saw you run out on stage. So like it's hilarious now, but I was so embarrassed. Oh my gosh. I think sitting on the floor is one of my favorite pastimes. What's one moment you think helps define who you are today? I would say, when I was back in 2014, I was in a relationship that I kept dragging out because I was nervous. Like if I don't make this work with him, I'm not gonna find anybody. And I was in like a really bad, it just wasn't great. And even he was like, I'm not your boyfriend. I'm like, yeah, you are. I didn't want to believe it. So I get it now. And I remember hearing God say, is this the life you want? Because I kept running from who he was calling me to be, who he wanted me to be. Like, it was just like, no, I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna stretch this out. Like, he's over it. Like, my boyfriend was over it. It was just so many things. And I remember hearing him say, is this the life you want? Almost as if like, because if you want this, I'll leave you alone. Like, I'll stop trying to pursue you. I'll stop trying to reach out. Like, all of those things. And when I tell you I got my act together, I broke up with him that day. Like, and that like changed my whole viewpoint on life. I think that's when I really started my like maturation process and really committed to God. The tattoo on my shoulder, actually, shoulder blade, I don't know what this is. That speaks to my commitment to God and how he got my attention, and that was that defining moment that I will never forget for the rest of my life. That was a good question. What's your biggest turn off? when people can't read the room. Outside of your mom and bro, who is a favorite person of yours and why? My niece, cousin Parker. That goes without saying. No, but seriously, I love Parker because she's one of my favorites. I love her because she has such a an imagination and such a big personality, and she's only 2, and she reminds me of what it's like to have such a vivid imagination, just to be curious, just to be, it's hard to explain, but she teaches me so much already, and I'm not even her mom. And it reminds me don't ever become so old that you forget how to be a child, right? That you forgot to be a kid, you forget how to have fun, how to have an imagination. And so for that, I love her so much for that. Yeah. Ignore my messy bed. What's something about yourself you wish you can change and something you never want to change? One thing that I don't hate about myself, but that just drives me nuts is that I'm such an overthinker. I can overthink and overplan the mess out of anything, and it drives my friends nuts. It drives my family nuts. It drives everybody around me nuts. But I love to just analyze and assess things from every angle. Part of it's a control issue. Part of it's not wanting to be caught off guard. Part of it's wanting to know everything. Part of it's not being a naturally not a patient person. So that's one thing. One thing that I would never want to change about myself is just my unique perspective, the way that I look on life. I've spent so many years trying to fit in, so many years trying to be like everybody else, or who I felt like I was supposed to be. I went through these phases in high school where I was like, I'm gonna be like this for this few months. I'm gonna hang with this group and be just like this. I'm gonna hang with this group and be a carbon copy of this. And it wasn't until I got older that I'm like, no, this is who I am. It just is what it is. But it's dope, and if you don't receive it, I'm not for everybody. And that's what I'm good with, and I'm solid in that. So I think those are the two. Yeah. God don't make no mistakes. Amen. That was fun. I really enjoyed that. I got the idea from another video I saw a few months back, and I was like, we'll try it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you ask enough questions in the comments, maybe I'll do another one. Oh yeah, it's my birthday. Well, it was yesterday, but when you're older. I'm excited. Last year in my 20s. Let's see what God got in store. So with that being said, thanks guys for watching. We're a week out from Christmas. And don't know. I still need to go Christmas shopping because I'll put it off. Put it off, of course. But I honestly am gonna just use my apps and then do contactless shopping this weekend. And have people just put it in my trunk and then wrap it. Feels good. Anyways, thanks for watching, for hanging out with me. Love you guys. You guys are the best. I'll see you next week. Bye.